Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to our fourth class on understanding banking operations. Today I told you I'll try to do some interesting stuff which is international finance, also called trade finance. We'll look at it. Before I start, let me just do a quick mic check. If I am audible and visible, please type a quick yes. Audible and visible, Nayan is always the first. Okay, I hope I'm actually audible and visible and we can just straight away get to our class now. Yes? Perfect. That makes me happy. Okay, so what we are going to do today is trade finance. Trade finance is about international trade. I think some of you requested. I know I'm left with a couple of topics like interest subvention and then prudent NPA norms, etc., which will be more useful, I think, for interview perspective. It can be asked, even I'll not say that I have purposely chosen, but next week I want to keep it to BAGA specifically. So from Monday to Thursday, I think except Tuesday, so Monday, Wednesday and Thursday, we'll try to do as much BAGA GK as much as we can. Most likely by tomorrow morning I'll make a public document which will have around 500 questions that will target, that is like must do questions. I'm trying to segregate into different, say, like if it's something related to government schemes or something related to bank news or whatever has happened from July to October, I have tried to cover that. I'll be working on that, and tomorrow morning or by afternoon that will be publicly available for everyone to see. And then in evening we will do our this session. I think the same time, 6 o'clock, and a couple of hours. Let's see how many questions I can ask and how much you have come prepared with that document. They will all be relevant questions. You can trust me on that. So I've worked on it and you will find it useful. That is what I believe. So whatever I told you guys to keep reading, and whatever knowledge you have, when we have that session, you start typing whatever you know about it. Okay. So and by evening, if I really find something good in the chat, maybe I'll try to collate it and then again put that additional information also there on that sheet, and again upload the revised version. So that's my plan for the next week. Today we will be doing something interesting. I do not want to leave the banking awareness on the note of NPA management. So I took trade finance. Some of you had requested for it also. It's very interesting. Trust me, if you get a chance to work in trade finance, just take it, just grab it. You will have so much to learn that 2 years will just pass like this. Just understanding everything there. To become a pro and veteran, it takes years and years. So this is something I did so I can understand. I understand what, and even I have done it for like what, 3 years on the operational side, one side on the pure trading bench. Still I will know only 20-30% of it. Okay, I know the holistic picture of it, but the nitty-gritties, it's enormous. It can take your lifetime learning and improving upon it. So that's what I would like to do today. So let's get started. Okay, chalo. So not waste any further time, I will move out of the screen, and this is what I'll start with. International payment instruments. So when we trade, so why do you think these things are necessary? Why are we even learning about? Why cannot we just work like, say, you go to your near kirana store with your bag, and then whatever that aloo potato and all is there, you just buy it, you pay him, and you come back happily. Why do we need such complex system like international payment instrument, clean payment, documentary collection, letter of credit, scary just by look of it? Why do we need all these things? You have to understand, when we are talking about international payment, we are talking about international trade. So it's not your near grocery wala that you are dealing with. What you are dealing with, you are here somewhere in India, and then you want to deal with somewhere here in the US. Okay, so you do not know this guy here. Okay, and you just know that he is a seller of some good A that you need desperately. All right. So, but how do you make this? How do you go about knowing him? Can you trust him? Can you tell him, okay, boss, I'll pay you say $100,000 and you just ship me the goods? Can you sleep at night? It will take him, even if you do Swift, it will take some couple of hours. The payment will reflect in his bank. after you have done all the due diligence, and he does that, it will take him at least 6-7 days to collect all the document and ship the good, and then it comes after another 30 days. Will you be able to sleep all these days? It won't be easy, but people do that. This clean payment terms are that. So what you do to mitigate the risk of default, credit risk. What is credit risk? That the amount of money which is at stake can go. So all these risk mitigation strategy is why you need international payment. And whenever you between two parties, you will need a credible party, right? Who becomes that credible party? That's the bank. That's where, if you get to work in trade finance, you will understand these things. Okay. Not audible. Jaideep says not audible. Is that problem with everyone? I'm not audible. I hope I'm audible. Audible. Okay. No problem. Guys, you guys please increase your mic volume, or please use a headset. Okay. So this is the reason why we need international payment instrument. But the first system, which is like our traditional, which is the clean payment. Clean payment has two kinds. Okay. What are they called? Open account or payment in advance. Again, so what is there? There is an importer, one who wants this good, and one is the exporter, right? So there are two parties involved. Okay. In the clean payment, you do not have banks. Okay. Banks, at least per se, I'm talking about in this trade, they are not directly involved. Maybe this importer might have taken loan to pay to the exporter, but in their agreement, in their picture of things, they do not exist. Okay. So it's just direct relationship between importer and exporter. There's highly trust based. So what happens in open account, the importer is trusted to pay the good after the receipt of good. So what this exporter knows, that this guy is good. Okay. Suppose this is a government organization, can't say that, but yeah, let's assume it's a reputed government organization which generally does not default or pays on time. So this exporter will just blindly send his goods to this guy, and they will, after receiving the good, he will again pay him whatever dollars or whatever it is to the exporter. So that's called open account. In open account, who is bearing all the risk? The exporter. Okay. In the open account, the exporter bears all the risk. In the payment in advance, okay, payment in advance, what happens here is the importer is just the reverse of the open account. The importer pays in advance because now suppose he is buying something from, say, Chinese government or say Japanese government. They are true to their words. So some Japanese government, he has bought something 100,000 worth of some new tool or technology that they want to buy, and then they put that 100,000 into their account, and then the exporter will ship. So if you see, they are broad end of the spectrum. So if I just put the exporter, okay, and I put the importer here, what is happening here? In the first open account, exporter is taking all the risk, right? Open account, exporter risk. In the importer, in the second one, what is happening? The arrangement, the importer is paying all the money, so he is taking all the risk, and that is what? Payment in advance. All right. Yes. So what happens is in open account, we have just seen he's just sending the good in good faith. So this is good as long as you know each other or the other counterparty is credible, then these things can work. But generally it does not happen. Trade would not have flourished if it was only between known people and people who trust each other, right? How many people will be there in the entire world who will trust each other? So then comes the need of intermediary, that is your bank, and they will act as cushion. In how many ways, how they act as cushion, let's see that. Okay, so clean payment, very few transaction in big counterparties who trust each other, who know each other for a long time. Maybe my brother goes there, okay, and he opens a say he becomes successful and he started producing something, and I need that as raw material. Then we can trust each other. We do not have to. Even brothers, in business, they are not really trustworthy. So we move to the next one, which is the documentary collection. Okay. So documentary collection it has two different kinds. So one is document against payment, and document against acceptance. Okay, so these are the two kinds. I'll tell you what it is. So what happens here, first of all, just try to understand what happens. Maybe I'll take you to the next slide where you have to understand how the goods travel, how the documents travel, and how the flow of good happens. Okay, this is first thing that you have to understand. So what happens, I told you very simply, this is the guy who is exporter. Okay, and here I have a guy who is importer, right? Now this is not clean. We are talking about the complex wherein the banks have come into the picture. Okay, so what happens, this exporter now does not trust this importer, right? And vice versa, that this importer will not trust this exporter and would like bank to give him some assurance, you know, that this guy will fulfill his commitment, and same for, you know, this guy, that this guy will deliver. So there are various mechanisms in which it can happen. Currently we are talking about documentary collection. So I told you there are three things in any trade that you have to understand. What are these? Flow of goods, flow of documents, and flow of payment. These three happen almost exclusively. Okay, let's try to understand what happens. This exporter from his, you know, factory, he will ship the goods, right? So he will ship the good. Okay, and this good will reach him. He will get this goods unloaded. So this is the general flow of goods, right? Flow of goods. This is again not so simple. What happens generally, the exporter does not have expertise in carrying the goods from his warehouse to the port. Okay, nor is he expert in handling the port. Once it reaches port, it's not like, you know, banana republic wherein, you know, you can send anything and everything. So there is a lot of due process. The customs are there. They will ask for packaging list. Okay, they will ask for certificate of origin. Okay, certificate of origin they will ask you for packing list, certificate of origin. They might, if you are dealing in goods like say cashew etc. that I was dealing in, they will ask you phytosanitary certificate. What is that? You declare that the goods that you are sending will not go to the other country and disturb the ecology of the other country. So the cashew that I sent, any bug here, you know, there was a case between Russia and America that, you know, they were suspecting that they are sending, when they are sending the wheat as aid to Russia, they are also sending some bug which will permanently destroy the crops in Russia, right? So to avoid all that, first of all, you have to give this certificate also, then fumigation certificate, that if there was any bug which was, you know, there. So n number of lists. So why I'm telling you all these things is these cannot be the expertise of one person who is exporting, but you can have a forwarder. This guy is called forwarder. What he does, he forwards things from warehouse to port and takes care of all the legal hassle here. And by doing so, you know, he is the documentation guy, right? So the goods are given by him, the document is taken care by the forwarder. Okay, so he does all the thing, the good flows. This set of documents, which is first, you know, is getting originated here. Everything, who is in charge of all the documents here is the forwarder. Okay, I'll be coming back to it again and again. Just try to understand what are different flows. These documents, you know, these documents, as there were so many documents to send, this guy, when he comes to his country, his customs will also be there. As the rules are stringent for export, there is, you know, very stringent even for import. The same things these custom will also ask, whether the certificate of origin, phytosanitary is there. There is no trouble with this, you know, exporter who is, you know, sending things. Maybe he is not dealing with drugs, etc. So all that thing these guys will take. So for this guy also there will be a forwarding agent, okay, who will take care of all the documents from this side. Okay. But before it reaches to him and he gives it to his forwarding agent, what happens? This guy has finished his things and he has given the set of document to this guy. He submits it to bank. Okay. The bank, you know, there will be various banks, you know, it can, the entire trade can happen with just 2 banks. You can have even up to 6 or maybe even 8 banks who will be doing the work behind the thing. I'll come to that. Just stay with me. So what happens is this flow of bank, the document has come. Now he gets this document. For simplification, I have done like this. Now this guy will give it to his forwarding agent, and he will bring it, he will bring the goods from his frontier. Okay. Now this guy, once he got the document, he will immediately pay the bank. And once this bank gets the payment, only then he releases. Okay, there are depending upon the term, and this bank again can pay. So I hope you are understanding what happens if I remove these two guys and I put a bank here. Okay, so a physical good will go independently. The document set first by forwarder, and then it comes back to this guy and he submits it to the bank. This bank will give it to him. Only then, even if this goods have, been in his name, this guy cannot come and collect it here in his country. Okay. So for that, he will need all these documents, which will give the authenticity for the ownership of the document. That will come only through bank, and this bank basically will give him this document only after receiving payment. So goods flow like this, documents flow like this, and the payments flow like this. So this is the flow of goods, flow of documents, and flow of payment. We'll come to it many times. Just try to visualize that there are three independent things happening here. The flow of good is happening independently. Flow of documents will lead to the flow of payment. Okay. So we'll keep coming back to it. Let's go back and now try to understand. No, document against payment. That document, once it is released to the importer, only against payment, it is called as site collection. So it is called payment at site. Okay. So the payment at site will happen, payment at site of not goods, you have to understand. The payment at site is of the documents. Okay. So these documents, once the importer sees these documents, and what are these documents? This document gives the right of ownership to the importer. Okay. So now this good which is in sea or already standing at the port becomes of the importer, and hence he is liable to pay to the bank. So this is called site collection or cash against document collection. Alright. So this is called CAD. This is very frequently used term. So any two good counterparty will not get into the next term, which is called LC. They will just send the good through a bank. They will not involve many intermediary. They will send the document here. This bank will present, show him that, all the documents are in place for which you have, done the contract. He will immediately pay. He will get the document. He will go to the port. He will send his forwarder to the port, and he will get all his goods in his warehouse. This is the most frequently used, which is called CAD. Again, minimal risk. So I'll come at the problem, etc. Why this is not used, why other methods are used, etc. Now, second one can be if the importer is a very strong counterparty and you are desperate to sell to him. He will say, no doing cash against document. I will see the goods. I will maybe use it for 60 days or 90 days. Once I receive after my sales cycle, only then I pay you. So, this is called documents are released to importer only against acceptance of a draft. This draft is a term sheet. Basically, this importer will sign to this bank that yes, after 90 days of sight or 90 days of usance, else, this is also called. So generally used in LC terms, we'll come to it. So after 90 days of seeing these documents, I will pay you. So once this was given to them at say the 1st of Jan, this guy will make the payment on 1st April. Okay, don't get into nitty-gritties that what if February is 28 and all, but yeah, technically this is the term. So this is called term collection. So these are the two ways in which your term collection can happen. You have understood it very clearly how the document flows happens. The next one is called the letter of credit. Okay, so now let me just show you. I'll come to these here. First of all, let me show you the diagram how this works. So this will give you better picture, and I can also cover the other two parts here. ठीक है, अब चलो इसमें देखते हैं. Okay, Mukesh, it's little difficult. There are many videos in Hindi. We what do I say? We're working for the bank student, and we want you to understand our level of English. It's not that standard. You can cope with our English. Okay, so this is the exporter seller. Okay, this is the importer buyer. All right. So what happens? First step in any whether it is the open account or cash against document or the LC that we will discuss in detail. First thing always is the sales contract. Between the buyer and seller, there will have to be some contract. All right. So once this contracts happen, only then the next step happens. Let's forget about this diagram, what is happening. Let's assume that it is not the LC, it is the open account. So what happens? These goods are sent along with the carrier. It can be sent through aeroplane also. Okay, it can be sent through land border also. If something India wants to send something to China or say Myanmar, they might prefer the road route also, right? So carrier can be anything, but yeah, this is the carrier. Goods are loaded and it is sent. At the same time, it will be the documents either will along with this guy or it will be separately sent to the importer buyer. And in the open one, okay, so the advance payment or the open we talked about in the clean payment. Okay, in the clean payment. So in the open, what happens? Who will take? The exporter will take all the risk, and these guys will send along with the document. He receives it and then he will pay. Okay, only this part is coming into the picture, right? In the advance, importer would have paid everything and then he will send the document along with the goods. Goods will be sent separately. Generally, documents are sent through air courier through air or air freight. This is how these guys will get the document. Okay, that was the open. Now in the cash against document, what we say? We involved one of the banks, right? One of the bank. Let's assume this bank is involved, and we are still talking about CAD terms, cash against document or at site or usance or term whatever is there in the contract. Again, first sales contract will happen. What will happen? Exporter will send the goods. But the document, basically what will happen, this exporter will send to his bank. Okay, this bank now will have a representative bank here. Okay, and he can just send the documents to him. Okay, here please understand, the banks are not involved in anything other than the handling of document. Okay, only responsibility that the bank has is this document should not go into others' hand, and this document is handed over to the importer buyer only when he pays. So this bank's representative bank here will get all the document. He will tell the buyer, boss, come here, all your documents are here with me, pay and take your document. So this guy will pay him, and the issuing bank will say, I have already collected the payment on your behalf, you can give him the payment. So this guy will get the payment, this guy will get the document, and hunky dory, everything. Depending upon usance term, it becomes different. Now we are complicating it a little bit. Okay, so now this is not CAD or clean payment, this is called LC. This is called letter of credit. Letter of credit, how it happens is, again, first step is sales contract. Okay, now why does it happen? Also you have to understand this importer here. Okay, here basically is not a big counterparty. Okay, it's not a big counterparty. So the exporter is little reluctant. What if this guy, today I ship the goods to him and tomorrow he says, Bhaiya, mere paas to paise hi nahi hai. He raises both his hand and he says, sorry dude, I think I did the sales contract, but today I'm bankrupt. Okay, so what will happen to this poor guy? He would have already incurred this freight charges, and again he will have to call back the good. This good would have already been in sea for some 60 days. So all kind of hassle. So what this exporter has to, in trade, just remember this as rule of thumb. Everything that can go wrong, okay, I'm not kidding, everything that can go wrong actually goes wrong. Okay, this is rule of thumb in international trade. So any prudent trader, any prudent exporter or importer will cover their bases. They have to save themselves. Trust me, it happens unknowingly. What happens when we will get to the Inco terms later. What happens when your good catches fire on truck? What if the ship that was carrying it it sinks, or anything can happen. If your documents get lost, what will happen? If it gets into the hand of some other party, what will happen? So you have to have backup plan, a contingency for everything. Okay, so that is why these things come into picture, and everyone basically makes merry. Everyone gets to have some part of the entire chain, and depending upon their risk appetite, they take the work. There is a lot of work to be done here. ठीक है, सो अब चलो इसमें देखते हैं अब इसमें अब हो क्या रहा है. सो सेल्स कॉन्ट्रैक्ट डन. All right, the sales contract done. Now, what is my problem in the LC part? This importer here is not trustworthy, right? He's not trustworthy. He's a weak counterparty. Okay. Counterparty for anything is if he's, you know, for him, this is the counterparty and this is the counterparty for him. So the other guy you are dealing with. So this is weak counterparty. So what this exporter says, dude, I will not sell you the good. If you are really desperate, what you have to go and talk to your bank, who will, you know, issue a letter of credit on your behalf. LC, that is what LC is called. If, you know, in your country, in your you know, place of business, your banks are not trusting you, how can I sitting here out of say US or any country can trust you? So show me that you are a trustworthy counterparty in your country. Get your bank where you deal, issue a, you know, letter of credit. This guy, once he issues it and sends it to my bank that yes, an LC has been raised, only then I will think about shipping the goods to you. So what is this letter of credit? I hope you understood the flow. Let's get back to what is a letter of credit. Okay, so letter of credit is nothing but it's an undertaking by importer's bank. I just told you the importer here, the counterparty was a weak counterparty. So his bank basically issues a letter of credit which goes to the exporter's bank saying, I know this guy, I will, you know, kind of give you assurance that he will buy the good, and I'm taking the responsibility. I'm issuing a letter of credit on his behalf. If you fulfill all the requirements that is there in the sales contract, I will pay you. That is what this issuing bank promises to this bank, the exporter's bank. Okay. Undertaking by the importer bank, known as the issuing bank, on behalf of its customer, that is the importer, promising to effect the payment in favor of the exporter, that is the beneficiary, up to the stated sum of money within a prescribed time. The LC will always have a expiry period. It does not mean in 2010 you will do a contract and then in 2020 you will say, now I think the prices have gone rock bottom and today I will export it to you. No, within a prescribed time limit against the stipulated document. This is very important. Please try to understand. This is very cumbersome. This has a lot of documents attached. A lot of checking has to be done. I'll show you a different flow chart. I had shown you the simple flow chart where a lot of other banks, you know, with various expertise in checking documents, in negotiating terms, they all get as intermediary and let this trade finance, go through smoothly. Okay, all those having problem with Hindi, please, you want that in Hindi. There are a lot of other stuff available in Hindi. We as channel, we will be talking mostly in English. If you cannot understand our English, please, there is problem. Then you will have serious time clearing a bank exam going forward, like it or not. Just look at the paper before you comment things like that. Okay, chalo. So this letter of credit, now you understand, it's on behalf of a weak counterparty or supposedly weak counterparty, which the exporter does not know. An LC, letter of credit, has been issued by a bank. Now, yeah, we'll get into the details. This bank can itself be a weak counterparty. So then there becomes a confirming bank. Okay, so there are layers that we can get into. Okay, we'll touch upon everything, but let's try to understand the bigger picture of it. So this LC, once it is advised, now this guy, the issuing bank, has said to the this bank, the exporter's bank, the beneficiary bank, he's told him, boss, no problem, you can now ship him the good because I have got the confirmation that the LC is opened. He will give him the copy. In this LC, as per the sales contract, you remember always the first step is the sales contract. Everything is mentioned that the good should have this document, the good should be of this quality, it should have this fumigation certificate or certificate of origin, packing list, this, that, everything is mentioned here in this LC. Now, according to that, this exporter will get all the details. He will give it to his forwarder. He'll say, boss, all the goods are there in my warehouse. This is your, LC. Okay, this is the terms that I want you to, fulfill. This exporter will ensure that he will get all the document. He will bring and give this bank, the beneficiary bank, all the document. When he sees that, it is complete, there can be one bank whose job is just checking the document, whether this is perfect. He sends it to the, the issuing bank that boss, we have fulfilled our thing. Here also issuing bank will again recheck it, and again at this bank also there can be a subsidiary which will check whether all the documents are in place, or a nodal bank whose job is just checking it can do it on behalf of both of them. So various, I told you, no, you can get into layers after layers here. Now once he is satisfied, he will tell this counterparty, boss, your documents are here with me, come collect it, or whatever the term says. If it is usance, he will come and sign that yes, after 90 days I will pay. If it is on site, he will immediately, his account, most of the time this weak counterparty will have an account here with this issuing bank, and he will immediately debit his account, hand him over the document, his work is done, and this bank in fact pays back to the beneficiary bank immediately as soon as he gets the document and he confirms that it is already there in place. Okay. Now let me go back to the diagram and show you the entire thing. Now I hope things will become more clear. First step, as I told you, was the sales contract. All right. As soon as the sale contract is done, this supposedly weak counterparty will go and ask his importer bank, which is also called the issuing bank, please write, open a LC for me. Okay, that's called opening the LC. There can be various terms in LC, 2%, after payment, or 10% advance, or all 100% advance, or you can have various terms. We are not getting into the various kinds of LCs, but let us understand the process. So once this LC is raised, what happens? This importer bank will tell to the exporter bank, now you can tell your chap that there is no problem, I am taking guarantee. Okay, guarantee itself is a different topic, but yes, I am assuring you that I have already checked the credibility of this party, and I have already opened an LC. You can ask your guy to say prepare for the export. So once he gets this LC, he has seen, okay, he matches it with with the sales contract. That this exporter would have already shown that these guys, I have got into the sales contract and I'm expecting an LC opening. That LC opens, he will also kind of check it, or a nodal bank which is expert in checking this LC, he says yeah, everything is fine, it is according to the sales contract. This guy, now LC is delivered to the exporter. All right, so this document, now I told you who takes it, to the freight forwarder. This is the guy who takes the good from here and ships it, crosses the country here. Okay, there can be various steps here also, we'll learn in the INCO terms. That is why it's so vast and so interesting. You will just love this trade finance part. Okay, so after he has taken care of all the documents which were mentioned in the LC, he will submit it on behalf of the seller to the exporter bank. Now he will again, this guy will check whether all the document as per the LC has been submitted by the freight forwarder or the exporter to this bank. Once he is okay with it, this bank will, LC, your documents will be sent back to the issuing bank. Now this issuing bank will again, if it is a nodal bank, he will not need to verify that it is already done by a nodal bank. So he will immediately tell, dude, your documents have come here, please come and collect. He will be debited. He will take his document, and immediately as soon as this guy gets the document, it happens almost simultaneously. They get the document, they are assured, he will debit his account, they will credit payment here. The moment these guys get payment, this payment will also be done. So you see how neatly everything gets done. So bill of lading, etc. I'll come to it. Don't worry. When we get into the INCO terms, I'll explain there. So just now, for now, bill of lading or BL is nothing. One of the document which is needed in the LC. Okay, as per LC, this is one of the document. Yes, what banks? Wonderful question. So you will think, why they are not Mother Teresa? No, why they are doing it? Clearly, they are getting something. Okay, so for issuing of LC, it will depend upon a fixed charge or a percentage of sales charge. So if it is a 100,000 contract, maybe 1% is the LC charge. Okay, so that is the reason why, if the two counterparties know each other, they will not go into opening of LC, because this is a cost. Now these guys, why they are getting into, they already know that they will be holding the bill of lading here the BL etc. and all the document they will be holding. If the guy is even default, they will have all the goods worth that much amount, and they will not issue LC simply. This guy must be having a bank account. They will block some 10% of his money. If he tries to run away from it, these bank will, you know, keep that money from him, and they will end up selling this BL to someone else. Okay, so there is cost involved. There is cost involved. It can range up to 1 to 3% depending upon the kind of good that is there and the risk associated with that. All the banks, their trade finance team will have all that data. No, it's not necessary, Prince. It is not at all necessary. We just talked about all other. I hope you have seen. We have, you know, slowly moved to the letter of credit is the final way in which the exporter and the buyer, they do not trust each other, or they do not know each other. They do not have any clue. It's a new counterparty for him, and he just does not know anything about him. His company does not want to take any risk, so he's mitigating. What is the cost of risk? That LC. So this cost of, depending upon 1 to 3%, is what the exporter and the buyer will have to bear to get into this. Yes, is it okay? Okay, now let's complicate it further. Okay, so it is not so simple. There are many layers of bank which we'll now get into. You have to understand, wherever there is opportunity, of money to be made by taking some risk, it is already happening in the world. Okay, so let's try to understand this one. This will give you more clarity. So what happens? First step always is the sales contract. Okay, so the buyer or the applicant gets into the seller. Okay, now so this guy, okay, he is the importer here. Okay, seller, he is the exporter here. Okay, so this exporter does not trust him, so he asks, dude, please open an LC. So he goes to his buyer's bank or issuing bank, and this LC is opened. Now this is the advising bank. Now I see how many banks, instead of just one bank, just see how many banks I have put here. Seller bank, advising bank, reimbursing bank, negotiating bank. So, and you know, the buyer bank. So you have what? Instead of one bank, now have 5 banks, and all these 5 banks have definite role to play. So this advising bank, as soon as this, you know, issuing happens, this advising bank checks this LC and tells the beneficiary bank, and this bank also takes the guarantee on part. Again, guarantee is not the word, but he assures the seller that I know this bank. Now, if you are, you know, working, you want to say import something from, or say export something to Papua New Guinea. Okay, how do you know a bank called Zebra Banking Finance Limited is even a, first of all, a bank there? Okay, you have no idea about it. So the advising bank, one of the reputed banks, will verify the LC issued through this bank and will tell the seller, dude, don't worry about it. I have checked, this bank is authentic, this LC is authentic, you can proceed. Okay, so that becomes the advising bank. Now if you are working, say, India, and if the Citibank is your, you know, the issuing bank, you don't need an advising bank, or the advising bank, it's the Citibank itself. But I'm just showing all the complications that can happen. You do not know the counterparty, you do not even know the bank. Then you will need an advising bank which will take care that yes, this bank is authentic, and hence he will certify that this LC is okay, you can proceed. Now the copy of LC to the freight forwarder sends the goods. Okay, this part again same. Now what happens? This seller or beneficiary, he will go to the negotiating bank. Now what if the seller is not interested in getting the money when the buyer, you know, is paying? He says, dude, I'm selling this good, I have all the documents with me, you take this and you just pay me instantly. Okay, maybe you take 1 or 2% as interest, whatever, you take all the rest. So this negotiating bank will happily take all the document. He knows all the goods have been shipped, and he knows that, you know, this is already an advising bank has cleared it. So he will on his behalf take it. Now this seller's bank and negotiating bank can be same. Okay, so in his own bank, he can go back and tell, I'm not interested when this payment will come. You just pay me 2% less and give me the payment today itself. I have to prepare for my next cycle of trade. This seller also knows this supplier, or the seller bank knows his seller. He will take all the documents from him. He will pay him instantly, and then he will take the risk of handling the bank and the buyer on the other side. All right, this guy has already got maybe this 2% charge that he has got, but now he immediately gets his working capital is free now. Do you understand? This was one way of making money. So the seller bank could do that or the negotiating bank can do this. So these are just the terms, various functions. So advising bank may would have taken 0.01% just to ensure that this is done. This guy will take, if he's taking so much risk, might charge between 2 to 3% of the entire sale amount. If he does not have that much margin, he will not get into, but if he has, he will get into negotiating bank. Everyone, please try to understand, the most important thing in trade is the working capital. You will never like your working capital to be stuck. You never know what this buyer will do. Tomorrow he gets default. What if the advising bank got it wrong? You might get your money, but it will come after 180 days of arbitration and international international court, etc. Why get into all that? Just, even if you can just forego your 2-3%, if your margin is good, just leave it to the bank. Let it's their speciality. The banks and lawyers, they will be able to better handle. Just take the money immediately and go to your next cycle. That is the prudent way of doing trade. Okay, now this negotiating bank, now what it does here, the buyer's issuing bank generally has a representing bank in the country of the exporter. That becomes a reimbursing bank. So immediately, as soon as this guy got that that the LC is correct, he also authorized his corresponding reimbursing bank. Now if it is Citibank, they will have the same Citibank, but if it is some, say, Bank of Ghana here, they will have a representative bank here, maybe a Citibank branch here, who will act as the reimbursing bank. So I am already, Citibank is doing some work with them in Ghana. I know this is a good counterparty. I do not have, they have instructed me to pay this negotiating bank on behalf of me. I'll just pay it. If something goes wrong, I will take money from the Bank of Ghana here. So you see the chain that can keep getting complex. But again, if you have to understand the process, it's very simple. First, the contract happens. This guy applies for an LC. If this is a reputed bank, that LC directly goes to the seller or the beneficiary through the advising bank, or this bank again could be the seller bank. This LC reaches to the seller beneficiary. He forwards it to the forwarder. The goods are shipped. Meantime, now this freight forwarder gives them all the document, etc. has been given to the seller or directly given to the negotiating bank on behalf of the seller. This negotiating bank will tell boss, I have everything in place now. This is time. I'll pay to this bank here, and from this bank I will take the money. You see, this is just adding layers to it. Now I have got it. I have already sent the document to him. This guy, as soon as he gets the document, the buyer applicant says, boss, as per your LC, I have got all the document. I'm debiting you. Please collect your document. Now he has got all the document. He will give it to his forwarder. He will come and collect the goods here. So this is the trade is happening even when none of the two buyers and seller know each other. They don't even know each other bank. So layers of bank getting into all this picture, they are just layers. This could be just one bank. This could just be Citibank here and a Citibank here, and everything here is city to city, is the advising bank for him also, the reimbursing bank also, is the seller's bank also, and is the buyer's bank also, and also the negotiating bank. I'm telling the worst case scenario when nothing happens, then you can have so many banks involved in the chain. Okay. Who is going to regulate this bank? Banks are upon their own. All these terms of trade, that is a good question. What if this Bank of Ghana refuses to pay after getting the document? It does not pay. Then who? So this is all, universal laws are there. It is valid in the international code, and these guys will have to cough up. So there is no way a bank which is working, if they are not bankrupt, they will have to pay back. So I have mentioned that also. Don't worry about it. I hope this is clear. In this simple picture of things, let us quickly go through sales contract again. Not getting into the deep thing. Sale contract, importer request for the LC. LC is issued. This goes to the exporter bank. LC is delivered. Document forwarded. Forwarder hands over the document, or maybe he can sell it to the seller and he can give it to the confirming bank. These documents are shipped back to the issuing bank. These are given to the importer only on condition as per LC usance or LC at site. It was at site. That means as soon as he got the document, this bank would have debited this guy, okay, and would have definitely charged him for the LC also and all the money. Now he has got the document, he will clear it, and in the meantime this payment has been done to this bank and this payment has gone to the exporter. This is how letter of credit flow works. I hope this is clear. Okay, any doubt anywhere, tell me. Banks only check document for verification of transfer of good.
please understand now, the biggest problem with this is, if I am a very shrewd exporter, I might end up in jail finally, but I can trick the system through my forwarder. If I can fool everyone in the system, and I can, that's you have to have all your custom guys also as corrupt, and you can show that all the documents are in place, whereas you did not send the correct good to this guy. The banks have got nothing to do with it. Please try to understand, when an LC is raised, bank takes guarantee only from the document perspective. Okay, if documents are all right, there is no problem with the document, this guy will have to pay. Okay, the importer will have to pay. What if you said that I will send you size of the say machine to be 30 feet into 40 feet, ultimately you send him into 10 into 20 feet 2 machines, okay, or maybe just one machine of this, and you charge him. If the document was all right, the custom here were corrupt, the freight forwarder kind of manipulated things, the banks are not liable. Please try to understand, this will be a different problem. Okay, so what happens then? Let's move forward a step ahead. Now, collection, all of you were mentioning who's regulating all this. So it is regulated basis. You have to understand, collection are subject to uniform rules of collection, URC. Last was done in URC 522, and this everyone is bound by this. So if it is cash against document, it is cash against document. The moment this document is handed over, cash should come in. If it is as per 90 days, on the 90th day, this bank will demand it. Okay. Again, International Chamber of Commerce ICC publishes internationally agreed upon definition and practices govern letter of credit. This is absolutely safe. Once an LC is raised and all the documents are in place, the exporter has got nothing to worry about. He will get everything. Okay. So this is UCP 600 is basically done. I have never seen any problem ever. Okay. They are bound to cough up. Okay, now next comes bank guarantee. What is this? Okay, I have just taken it from the source Investopedia. What if the goods that you sent were itself faulty? Okay, the performance here happened in terms of document which banks were liable for. Okay, but the goods were not as per standard. Who will guarantee that? For that you have a term called bank guarantee. Bank guarantee and letter of credit are similar in many ways, but two are different. Okay, letter of credit ensure that transaction proceeds as planned. We have seen the entire history of letter of credit now, how it happens from the issuance to the final submission. But the bank guarantee is having to reduce the losses if transaction does not happen. Now, what if you ordered for a certain quality and that quality of good you did not receive here, and you lost maybe 20% as that? Then your bank guarantee will come into picture. Okay, do you understand? So bank guarantee, if what happens, it is for both party. The importer can say, boss, I do not trust you that you will pay. Okay, you will send me the good, and exporter can say, I do not trust you will pay. So for that, LC can be issued, but at the same time I can also say, boss, we should have a bank guarantee. In case, what if the LC is issued and it's negotiable, if it does not happen, it expire. But what if I as an importer maybe had further sold to 10 people that on the day 60th I will sell you guys, and they have taken some loss of 1 lakh rupees. Who will pay for this? For that I need a guarantee by bank, which is called BG. On behalf of this exporter, a bank will guarantee that he will deliver on his promise. If he fails, whatever loss you incur, I will pay. So do you understand the difference? The bank guarantee is more a performance guarantee. Okay, not the documentation and whether the payment will come or not. Everything happens. What if there is problem in the shipment itself? What if act of God, of course force majeure is eliminated here also. But what if he goes bankrupt in meanwhile? Who will take the guarantee? So for that, the bank guarantee comes into picture. This is another way of saving yourself. Again, banks will charge something to both the parties. If he wants BG from this guy, and just imagine, say Indian government wants to build say F-16s in India. So you have Lockheed Martin and you have Airbus, or you have what, many other, maybe even NASA is interested in building some of these. Suddenly they have, now they get the bid. Now Indian government says, no, I do not trust you guys. I need a bank guarantee. What if I need it into 2 years? What if you guys do not deliver in your promise and I have war with China or Pakistan and I might lose billions of dollars here? So give me a guarantee from a bank, whether if you do not deliver to me in 2 years, the bank will pay on your behalf $2 billion to me. That's bank guarantee. That's performance guarantee. So even he's shipping the good, instead of 18 aircraft, he could ship only 20. So that bank guarantee will be fulfilled. If I am short of 2 planes, how much fine I should pay? If it is 10 planes short, what I will pay? So that's more performance guarantee. And the quality. What if the F-16 you have delivered does not fire at all? Who will take the risk? So in LC, all these things are not covered, right? The moment all the documents were in place, Indian government was supposed to pay. Now with the bank guarantee, the performance guarantee will also come. Yes, insurance and all will come. Insurance is only for getting the goods, Insurance, it's kind of bank guarantee only. If you say you cannot get into in insurance, you will have insurance of the good. If the good is, given F-16 is delivered to you as F-16, will come to Incoterms, don't worry about it. If it is F-16 is delivered, it is delivered, over. Now it does not fire after 2 months. These insurance guys will just wash off their hand. They said we had insured you that you will get it. It does not work. If you want to get into those details, it will again become kind of bank guarantee, for which this insurance will ask you for a lot of money. So if you want to customize insurance term, you have to cough up more money. That is how it happens. No, it's not a communication. It is actually a contract. It's actually a contract. So, guarantee can be at both places. If say Indian government can also issue a bank guarantee to Lockheed Martin. Okay. That, Lockheed Martin say, boss, last time I remember that you bought something with Russia and there was change in government, and you cancelled the deal from, or you curtailed the deal from 45 to 20. But I cannot do like that. If you want F-1600, I will, because I have to plan my manpower accordingly. You also give me a bank guarantee to Indian government. They can say that, you'll have to give me a bank guarantee. Even if there is change of government, I will give you all the 100 and you have to pay me for all the 100 whatever F-16s here. So bank guarantee, both. If performance is an issue, if the two counterparty are not sure about, or they have lot to lose if the performance does not happen, then you have to get into bank guarantee. That is how it is different from LC. Now if I know the two counterparty are, these guys, these are Japanese counterparty, they will never default on the quality, then I don't have to get into the bank guarantee aspect of it. At best I will get into LC. Okay, so depending upon need, depending upon the counterparty involved, you will choose whether you need bank guarantee depending upon the risk involved. If it is $2 billion contract versus if it is $2,000 contract, you will not like to get into a bank guarantee for a $2,000 contract, but for $2 billion contract, you might well worth give them 1%, right? Okay, so while LCs are used mostly in international trade agreement, bank guarantees are used in real estate contracts and infrastructure project, like I told you, construction of road or F-16s, or something bigger thing at stake. Only then you get into the bank guarantee. So I hope that LC part is clear. Totally the bank guarantee aspect of it is clear. Let us now try to understand the Incoterm. What is it? The moment you get into international trade, understanding international trade, you have to understand this international commerce terms, which is very important and universally accepted. So when you make that LC, so these terms will be used, whether it is X warehouse, it is free carrier, free alongside, FOB, cost and freight, cost insurance freight, cost paid to transporter, CIF carrier and insurance paid to, delivery at a terminal, and then your delivery at a place and delivery duty paid. So these are the Incoterms, and how things happen here. Let me just explain it to you. So suppose I as a buyer here, I am an importer, okay, and this guy is the exporter here, okay. Now he says, I want to buy from you, but he says, boss, I have very less expertise. I do not even have a forwarder. You have to come to my warehouse and buy the goods from me. Okay. So what he has to do, if he says you have to come to my warehouse and buy, then this importer has to arrange X work. This is the term said. From his warehouse, from the warehouse of the exporter, this buyer will come at the agreed place along with his transporter and take the good from there to his warehouse. All right. So this is called X work. So what happens, just you know, first just listen what happens in all the things, and then I will explain you what is the difference and how things change there. Now banks who take bank guarantee, any bank can, they will charge them, no? The say the buyer bank can become the guarantor on behalf of the buyer. The the exporter bank will become the guarantor on his behalf. Okay, let us try to understand the Incoterm. Next he says, boss, what I can do, I have a local transporter who I know, I can just put it on this on your you know, the transport vehicle, and I can just you know, from there यहाँ पर आपको I will give you the BL or whatever, I have that transport documentation, and you can take it from there wherever you want it to be delivered. So that's called FCA. Okay, I'll tell you where and what is generally used. So this is for all trade here. Okay, now free alongside ship. This is again interesting. What his, you know, the exporter forwarder will do, he will go and keep this good along the ship railing. This is the ship. Okay, he will just go and keep the goods here, and he will ask importer, boss, now this is your headache. From here I have given you the goods, I have brought it inside the shipyard, and now it is yours. Now free on board, what this guy does, the forwarder, he will ensure that he will use, there is a crane which is used, you know, they will take it. So basically he is taking the charge of not just bringing here, he is taking the cost of this crane also and putting it on the ship. So this is called free on board. This is the most prevalent form of you know, trade term. Free on board, what it says is, all you have to do, this guy, the exporter, has to put it on a designated ship. All right, on the ship. So free on board, he has shipped. Now from here, payment of the ship, the freight, the cost of, you know, the total cost, the freight and the insurance, I have to pay. The importer will have to pay. Okay. The next one is, you know, he not just puts on it, costs and freight is paid by the exporter itself. Next, he can add the insurance also. All right. Now, costs paid to the transporter. He just does not put it here on the other side. This is different country. He also ensures that it is, you know, taken down and put on a transport vehicle, and he's sending it up to here. Okay, there is no free along, you know, ship side counter to what we had here. Please try to understand here. Okay, then carriage and insurance paid till the destination, the port of destination. This is the country here. Okay, this is the gate of the port here. Till here it is given. Delivery at terminal as soon. Okay, so if I have to, you know, do a correspondence, free alongside ship, it was here, and if I just put it here along, it is not alongside ship because there will be no ship. On terminal, if I leave it, it's called free or delivery at the terminal. Then your finally is delivery at place. This guy here ships it all over way to your place, and then delivery duty paid. Here, if you will see in all these things, what is the difference here? In this also it is given to his destination, and delivery duty paid also it is put at his destination. But what is the difference here? The custom duty incurred here was paid by the exporter when it is DDP term, whereas if it is DAP term, he will ensure that everything is, you know, sent here, but he will charge him for the custom duty etc., which he would have incurred on his behalf, or he will tell your forwarder should ensure that, you know, the custom part of it you should clear, I will get it delivered to your place. Okay, now let us understand what will be there and what is the problem with all these. So if my LC terms is delivery duty paid, okay, so the entire risk, if you will see, is of the exporter. So right from his warehouse to the forwarder, putting along the side, again putting it on the ship. Okay, this is, you see how goods move from the factory. There is a carrier from here factory. This is the work of the forwarder. Okay, so he'll come with a vehicle, he'll put all the good here, he'll go to the terminal, he'll put it alongside, there will be a crane waiting. Once the shipment itself is, it's a wonderful, there are at least it will take me at least 5 hours to teach you how and this shipment etc happens. Okay, ship manifest, draft, how ship comes there, how the counterparties are informed, when how much time it is docked. It's very interesting. Just for simplicity, now this will be put here. The ship will sail, this ship basically will issue that bill of lading, which is the most important document in all the LC. This is the confirmation document. BL is the confirmation document that the good has been put on the ship, the container with the good as written in the document. Please note, everything here is basis document. If I have put an empty container but I have secured a document which says I have put the good, that is it. That now insurance, it's work of the insurance and other arbitration body to handle that. My work is over. Okay, I as a bank, if I have given you the document that everything was put on the ship, it is put on the ship. If you get an empty container tomorrow, your insurance party and all those involved will take care of it. Now again at the terminal, when it has reached, again that the same say the crane will put it on the terminal. From here again his forwarder can buy here, or again this can be his forwarder itself, who will now take it again on the vehicle, pay the custom duty etc and deliver it to his good. Now you see, depending upon which term you have used as term of trade, the risk changes. In delivery duty paid, from the place of destination only the buyer has the problem. Delivery at place, again whatever place he has said, at that place. So if you see delivery at a place versus delivery duty paid, I have told you what is the difference here. It's both are coming to the final place, but here the custom duty etc is paid by the seller. Okay, here the buyer pays for it. That is just the difference. Delivery at terminal means what? Delivery at terminal will mean that the fobbing here, the forwarding here is done by the buyer. If it is at place, that forwarding here as well as here was done by the seller. Okay, carrier and insurance paid to, everything here, once it is put on ship, everything is put and paid by this guy. But if it was say just free on board, that means the freight, insurance etc would have been paid by the buyer. So just understand whose risk it is. Okay, so if it is, if I am paying for this CIF and if the container becomes empty here, whose risk it would be? Risk would be for the seller. If I bought it as FOB terms, then whose problem it will be if I get an empty container? The carriage, insurance and freight was actually handled by me, so I will be liable. So depending upon trade terms, the risk shifts. That is what this diagram shows. Whose risk it will be? The blue one, from the place it becomes for the buyer. The yellow, the orange one is for the seller, depending upon terms. So in DDP, all the risk is for the seller. In X work, all the risk is for the buyer, and various things that happen during in process and what term you use, that risk will get bifurcated from that place. So this is called INCO terms, international commerce terms. This is very standard. All the LC etc will use these terms, and all the arbitration etc will happen only on what is written. So these documents are prepared meticulously by the bank. There is a special body which will do just this, checking every single full stop comma is checked. When I say full stop comma, they actually check full stop comma from the sales contract. Nothing should deviate. Okay, so this is how your international trade in brief work. I hope you found it interesting. If you get to work into trade finance, take it, you will learn a lot of things. Every single stage here that I'm mentioning has its own set of challenge. Just this part, from taking to X warehouse to putting free alongside, it's itself a process in itself. Every single document, the custom that comes and checks your container, it seals, it gives you a packing list is prepared there, that seal number is mentioned, which ensure that it was packed in front of a custom guy, which is there in all your BL document also. That seal should not be tampered. Once that is what the insurance agent will check, whether the seal was tampered with. The seal number in the BL should exactly match when the empty container was opened. It will also be there in presence of the surveyor. So lot of nitty-gritties goes into operation. You understand, is not that simple, but it's very interesting. And this is how in brief your international trade happens. Okay. I hope you found it interesting. Read about it. It's very interesting. Any doubt you have, you can post it in the comment section of the video. If you need some more information, if you want something, maybe after your mains we will start. After mains, our agenda. Okay, let me just come back here. Okay, so after mains, what my agenda would be, that interest subvention and NPA part I will cover thoroughly. And then my idea is to take that Raghuram Rajan's book, I Do What I Do. I started, I think read some 50-60 pages. After that I have not got time, but that I think all of you should read that, read it thoroughly, and we will discuss that going forward in lecture. Maybe every second day we'll do a 1 hour session and we'll discuss important terms. It will be very good for your interview. You will have that confidence about using those terms. How is WPI related to inflation, and how that affects the wage of the factory workers, and how it is affecting the say the employment opportunities in the fields of our villages. So it's wonderful. We will get to learn all those things there. So just go through it, try to learn as much as you can. Tomorrow morning I should have a public document, maybe we'll share in the FB group, and from tomorrow evening let's try to learn as much as we can about next entire week. It's about BA, GK, GA for your mains. Okay. Okay, what you bought also, I did not understand, Arjun, what you have bought, you are saying? Okay, yeah, if you have bought that book, is wonderful. I think all of you can buy that book. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful book, and we'll discuss it thoroughly before your interviews. That's my idea, because we will learn immensely from it. All the concept of economics that book covers, we'll discuss. Okay, so with this, let me just close today's session. Again, thank you very much. From tomorrow the real work starts, which would be learning all those BK. Just give it next 6-7 days you can finish everything that has happened in last 4 months and score well. This has become a critical scoring section. Don't miss on it. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you again tomorrow. Yes, Rahul, quickly shoot your last question. Marketing office, abhi we are really tied up. We are just 2-3 guys here slogging every day. We really have problem with the bandwidth. Maybe going forward we might incorporate it. Sorry for now. Thank you very much.